Hello and welcome back. We're going to work on our model here. So we've created our hand, and in this tutorial here we're going to create a boot for our character. So I'm just going to get rid of that image there, and I'm going to go add image and open, and I'm going to start with this one. So this is the base of a boot, so maybe put in 2. Now let's go into edit mode, select our hand, scale it down a bit and move it over there. And then over here what we're going to do is we're going to create a plane. We're going to rotate it on the x-axis by 90 degrees and scale it down. Okay, so this is just a very simple sort of pressing G and positioning the first 2. And then it's just a matter of extruding. So extrude 2, 3, 4, 5. Scale these in. I'm going to go into wireframe mode and kind of position these. And we're just kind of making a base kind of shape. Now, if you're asking me how many verts there should be in the base of this, then we'll get to that in a minute, because we're going to do the same thing we did with the hand. We're going to count how many verts are in the ankle. So we'll scale this in, and then go G, 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 and there. So how many have we got? Let's select this guy here. So this has 31. So, and over here we should have 16. And we don't, we have 14. Okay, so that's interesting. So we've got 14. So we've got 31 here. So if I select that there, okay, that's a bad one, that one there. So I'm going to delete them. And then we'll do that and go face. And we'll delete those 2 and select those and go face. And what have we got now? So we have 18, so we'll select these 2. And now we have 16. Okay, so now we'll get away with 16. Now, you know, the more we put in, the more accurate it'll be, and that's all good. So we're going to rotate this on X. So I'm going to go rotate X 90, and then I'm going to look from above, and I'm going to rotate minus 90 that way. Now the reason I'm going to do that, because I'm going to go back to front view, and I'm going to get rid of this image and open another one. And the one I want is that one. Now, and it's very big, so we'll make that smaller. And what do we want to do? We want to flip it horizontally and bring it down. Actually, we'll just leave it there, and then we'll take our mesh and we'll scale this to about there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by turning on the proportional editing tool, and I'm going to grab the front of this and go GZ and make this a bit smaller, so that goes up to there. I'll grab those 2, GZ, and bring them to about there. Now we may, because we've deleted some of our geometry, not be able to get this exactly the way we want it, so we may have to add a little bit more geometry in. So I'll put that there, and that there, and indeed we're going to have to put in a loop cut, and I'm going to turn off my proportional editing. That's not off, that's off, and bring that up to there. So I'm going to go to edge select, and I do not want the internal edges, so I don't want to extrude internal geometry. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to extrude this up to here, and I'm going to go down and select these edges here, and then bring them up. Oop, I missed one. Bring them up to there. Now we'll go to vert select, and we'll do a loop select, so we get them all. So we now have our sole of our boot, so I'm going to go extrude, escape, and then scale it in. And I'm going to scale a little bit more on Y, just to make it a little bit more defined. And then we're going to extrude up. Actually, we'll do it to there first. And most of this is just by eye, so because again we're just making something approximate, so I'm going to bring that out to here, so it's not quite right, but it'll do for this. And again, that's kind of reached the edge, but it's not perfect. So we'll extrude to here and see if we can prepare the front of this and move that in there. That looks fine at the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two that are selected, and I'm going to extrude 1, 2, 3. So now let's see what we can do here. So we want to make so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll make that a face. And I want to do the same here. Make that a face. Now, and in order to keep my quads here, I'm going to do a loop cut, and I'm going to scale it in. And then I've got a face and a face. So that's kind of the toe of my shoe, and I can also fill this one in here. Face, 2, 3, 4. Now, let's look at it from the side. Now, the difficult part of this is to try and do it in any sort of realistic sort of fashion. So I'm going to go extrude and escape, and then S. Now, let's do this properly. So I'm going to go S and X. So I'm going to bring this back, and then go GZ. So bring it up a little bit. And the only real kind of scaling should be kind of outward on the Y-axis. So SY. Now we're kind of exaggerating a little bit, but that's not too bad. Now, so at this point I'm going to do the rear of the boot first, this part here, because that's the easier. So what do I want to select? So this guy and this guy and that guy. Oh, that one. This one, this one, this one, and that one. So we will extrude to here. To here, we'll scale in a little bit and rotate, and G, and then we will extrude to here, and then to there. Okay, so that is the rear of the boot, and the base of the boot, and the toe of the boot. So then the question is how much of the rest of this do we want, like how accurate do we want it to be? And the truth is not that accurate, because it's a boot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude in, and then I'm going to extrude 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to be sort of like the tongue of the boot. And then I'm going to select the outside of this. Actually, it's probably easier to do it just by hand. So 1, 2, 3. Let me do edge select actually. So that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, not that one, that one. So I'm going to extrude these that way and then hit a little S for scale. So we're just basically making a little kind of gully. Now again, I've exaggerated it a little bit, but we can live with that. And then what we want is we want to extrude these outwards so that they go around the boot, so that they'll join up. So the first set are easy. So we're going to go to vert select, and we will, so it's going to scale a little bit on Y so we don't get intersecting geometry, and I'll join that guy and that guy and that one and that one. So we'll go face, we'll do the same on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's the face. Face, and then 1, 2, oops, 3, 4. There's a face. Now, let's have a look at what we've got up here. So, our vert count here is 12, and the vert count at the bottom of the leg was 14. So we can afford 2 more. So I can afford 1 there, and if I look from above, I can afford to move that out that way, and then 1 on this side, and again I can afford to move that out a little bit that way. Now let's see if we can make this all stick together. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and oops, the same on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we have to be a bit creative, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Do the same there, so we're, whatever solution we have, it's sort of consistent. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that gives us a, is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. So that gives us 2 little triangles here. So we can go face, and then the same on that side. 1, 2, 3, face. And if there are only triangles, we'll have done very well. So we'll select it all, and we will set it to be smooth. And I'm going to just scale these out a little bit, or maybe scale these 2 in. And I think actually I need to scale the inner ones just a little bit so I don't get such sharp edges where they meet. Okay. And then if we want to add in kind of lace detail, etc., we can do that afterwards. So that's our basic sort of our basic boot. So it's got a simple sort of seam around here, and we've got a basic seam where the sole and the leather sort of join each other. So we'll get rid of this background image, and now we'll see about excuse me, about joining these things together. So we go back into edit mode, and we'll select our boot. We'll rotate it on Z by -90. So rotate on Z by -90, and we'll move it down there. We'll talk about scale in a minute. We'll do the same here. We'll go L, select the hand, and we'll rotate it 180. And then let's have a look at our angles here. So we can move this forward on Y, and let's have a look at how big it should be. So now at this stage what we should do is we should get our original character. So where's my background image here? Background image. So add image, open, and where is that? There it is there. So if we just have a quick look here, so if I rotate this that way, and then we look back from the front, while my thumb has not come out the way I wanted it, I scale it up just a little bit there. There we go, G. So that's not a bad scale. And I'm going to move it forward on Y. And then we're going to join these. We're going to go W, bridge edge loop. And scale this up just a little bit. So we've joined that together. Again, it's not perfect, but as a base sort of mesh for our character, it is not bad. And then, just in terms of the height of the character, so if I go L, G, and Z, the foot should end around there. Okay, so now we have a couple of choices about how we do our boot. So let's delete them. Take our boot and go L and go GY. Not GY, GX. Bring it here. Bring it forward. Okay, so it's definitely the right width on the Y-axis, but it's not quite right here. So we're going to go scale on X and widen the boot and go GX. Okay. So that looks a bit too wide, so let's undo two of them, and let's take a loop cut and go SX. So obviously our, halfway up our calf is definitely wider than just at our ankle. So now we have questions about how we join these together. So the easiest thing is to go extrude, escape, scale it in, extrude, escape. We're going to look from the side into wireframe mode, and I'm going to go GZ and bring this down here and scale it in. And then we're going to do a bridge edge loop between those two. So W, bridge edge loop. Again, we should have no triangles, should all be quads. Now we might need to tweak a little bit of this because of the positioning of some of the geometry. But I'll tell you what, we'll just leave it for now. So what we might get if we haven't got that position correctly is if the ankle were to bend around sort of an axis here, we might get part of the shin kind of protruding through the boot, so we may have to go in and fix that a little bit. But what we have now is our character with his hand, and let's just go back into wireframe mode here. So we actually have, if I load this in just so it's clear we haven't made a massive mistake. So we followed the image here, but it really does look like that's totally off. So we're going to select this here and go GX and just bring that in a little bit. So he's not so he hasn't got such a crazy sort of bow to his legs. Okay, so that is our character body. So our our body, our legs, our arms. We've made our hands and we've made our boots. So this is, well, we're on 20 minutes now, so that's perfect. So this is not the most perfect start to a character, but it's not bad. And if we're going to sculpt this, this is a fine base mesh to build upon. So we'll leave it for now.